Hello guys and welcome back to another Premier League predictions video. Today we return with Game Week 5 after the international break. It's finally time to return to some Premier League action. And we're kicking off the weekend with the early kickoff on Saturday, which sees Wolves hosting Liverpool. And in this game I've actually gone for a 1-0 victory. It's actually a ground that Liverpool have struggled at over recent years, despite Wolves not performing particularly well over the recent seasons, but Liverpool had a lot of 1-0 victory theirs over the last 3 or 4 years, so I've actually gone for the same scoreline, Liverpool to win by 1-0. Next up, as we head into the 3 o'clock kickoffs on Saturday, Aston Villa host Crystal Palace at Villa Park, and I've gone for a 3-1 victory for the home side. Palace have been pretty decent to start the season off and picked up some good results, but I think Villa might have a little bit too much for them. Villa are another side that have kicked off the campaign very well, as many did expect, so I've gone for a 3-1 win for Unai Emery's side here. Next up, we have Fulham hosting Luton at the Cottage, and this was quite a tough one to try and predict for me. I think most people will have gone for a Fulham victory, but I wasn't sure what to go with for the score. I'm not sure there'll be many correct scores in this game. I've gone for 2-0, and I'm fairly confident, like I say, that Fulham will win it, but a tricky one to predict. Next up in game 4, Manchester United are back at home and hosting Brighton, who have been pretty decent to start the season off. Had that bit of a shock defeat to West Ham at the Amex, and I've gone for them to fall to defeat here again. Tricky trip to Manchester United for the Seagulls. Despite United's pretty poor start to the season, they are always generally better at home, so despite difficult wins against Wolves and Nottingham Forest so far, I have gone for them to win once again, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Brighton snatch a point. In Game 5, we've got one of the only games that I would say is a bit of a banker, although I'm not sure any game is ever a banker in the Premier League, with Tottenham hosting Sheffield United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They've been very good under Ange so far, with 10 points out of a possible 12, and I've gone for them to pick up another 3 here with a 3-0 victory over newly promoted Sheffield United. United have looked good at times, nearly snatched a point off Manchester City, and then picked up their first point of the season against Everton at Bramall Lane, but I have gone for them to fall to defeat here against a Tottenham side that have looked very good in the early parts of the season. Game 6 sees a very in-form West Ham side host Manchester City, the current leaders, and despite a very good start from West Ham, I have gone for them to fall to defeat in this one. Of course, it's Manchester City. Not many people will beat them this year, and although West Ham is a very, very tough trip, I have gone for City to win. They've got a decent record there despite having some tough games. I have gone for West Ham to get on the score sheet though. They've looked pretty dangerous going forward with Bowen and Antonio, and we know how much of a threat they have from set pieces. And then finally on Saturday, the late kickoff sees Newcastle hosting Brentford. Brentford actually in better form than the Geordies so far to kick off this campaign. Newcastle have had some tough games against Manchester City and Liverpool, although saying that, they definitely should have beaten Liverpool at St James's Park, and I've gone for them to win here as well against Brentford, who have had a decent start to the season, and I think they will pick up a decent number of points this year, although they're not as good on the road, and I do think it's time Newcastle bounced into a bit of form, so I've gone for a 2-1 victory. Heading into Sunday's fixtures, we've got Bournemouth hosting Chelsea in the 2 o'clock kickoff. I'm not really feeling particularly confident about Chelsea, especially after that loss to Nottingham Forest before the international break. But saying that, I have gone for a victory. Bournemouth have been one of those sides that have gone a little bit unnoticed so far this season. They're sat just outside the relegation zone, and obviously a change in manager in the summer may take a bit of time before they start to pick up some victories. I've gone for Chelsea to win it by 3-1, but I'm not particularly confident. And then to close out Super Sunday, Everton hosting Arsenal. Now this was an interesting game because when I was doing my research on this one, I saw that Arsenal haven't actually won at Goodison since 2017. So half of me was really tempted to go for an Everton victory, but my head told me to go otherwise. I've gone for an Arsenal win. They have started the season very well, I think with 10 points out of a possible 12 so far. And with Everton having really struggled to kick off this campaign, despite history, I have gone for Arsenal to win. And then finally, Game 10 sees Nottingham Forest host Burnley at the City Ground. Of course, the team that we are currently using in the Glory Hunter save, Nottingham Forest. I've gone for them to win by 2-1. It was a really tough game to predict. When I was inputting my scores, at one point I had 1-0 Forest, then I went for 1-1, and I settled on a 2-1 Forest victory. With it being under the lights on Monday night, I do think Forest will win it, although Burnley did win at the City Ground in the Cup just a few weeks ago, although both sides had rotated. And for Game Week 5, our joker game this week is also Game 5. Tottenham hosting Sheffield United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. With Man City with a tough away game at West Ham, and Liverpool again not an easy game away on the road at Wolves, I've gone for Tottenham as my joker, which is potentially a banana skin. But c'est la vie, that is what we've gone for this week. Let's head over to the predictions website, cast your mind back to a few weeks ago before the international break, and we'll check out how we got on. So here we are, guys. There is the full breakdown of the predictions table. You'll see that we've made it into the top 10 for, I believe, the first time in this season. We had a pretty good week, which saw us make some ground on the guys above us. We are currently on 35 points, so 5 out of the money. There's quite a big disparity between the guys at the top, so we definitely need to be on our A game to start closing this gap. You will see that we had our first fixture victory of the season, albeit a joint one with Simon, who also came in with 11 points. I thought I was having a pretty average week, but we managed to pull it back with a crazy 3-pointer in the final game of the fixture. But starting with the first game, we kicked it off with a lovely 3-pointer with West Ham winning away at Kenilworth Road by 2-1. That late goal by Luton managed to give us the 3 points. You can see on Saturday we weren't doing particularly well. We had the 1 point for Tottenham beating Burnley, but no one had the correct score in this one. Our Manchester City Fulham joker went out the window pretty early once again this week, although Man City did of course win, so we got our 2 points for that. And then on Sunday we had a much better day, picking up 1 point for Crystal Palace beating Wolves, another for Liverpool beating Aston Villa, and then, as I say, that 3-pointer on Super Sunday, the final fixture, where Arsenal scored 2 very late goals to give us a 3-pointer for the 3-1 scoreline. And this was such an important goal from Gabriel Jesus, because you'll see the number of people that had 2-1 in this game. Nearly everyone in the fixture had 2-1, so we would have had a big points deficit if Jesus had not scored that late goal. So thanks to that 3-pointer from Arsenal, we did manage to, like I say, jump up the table, and it puts us in a really good position heading into Game Week 5. As always, guys, let me know what you think of my predictions and what you would change yourselves, and I'll catch you for Matchday 6 next week. Peace.